What's up, loungers? I hope everybody's doing as great as I am today. Listen, guys, we are going to have a very straightforward conversation today in regards to what Flame Monroe was talking about over what happened between T.S. Madison and Jess Hilarious. Okay. There was a lot of stuff, a whole lot of conversations. Different people have different opinions about this. And, I have my own opinion about this too. At first, I didn't really want to even jump into the conversation, right? Because I didn't want to offend anybody. And I think that there are a lot of people that feel this way, a lot of women in particular, biological women who really do feel that way, right? Are kind of afraid of speaking our minds in regards to this matter and talking about these things in fear of what exactly happened with Jess Hilarious and other women who have spoken about these matters in the past. But shout out to the trans community and others in the trans community who really do stand up for biological women, okay? And one of those people are Flame Monroe. He has done this in the past, and he's doing this even now. And I want to highlight those things and talk about those things, okay? So we're going to get into that today. I hope that you guys are ready to kind of hear this conversation. Again, this is not going to be an easy conversation. This is not something that, I'm really necessarily looking forward to having, but I definitely feel that it's worth having. And I feel like it's something that's long overdue. And it's something that we are not talking about enough. I've had a bit of a conversation about this in the past, but not much. Only when Dave Chappelle kind of brought it up, which happens to be a very good friend of Flame Monroe. He brought up, some things and was ostracized for it back, that would be about a year ago, I guess now, over the Netflix situation. And there was some other things that came up as well. But yeah, this is something that a lot of people just don't talk about, right? Because out of fear of talking about these things and, not wanting to, quote unquote, offend anybody. But, at this point, there's a lot of people who just don't mind offending biological women, right? They just don't mind, speaking their mind. Now, let me give you guys a couple of disclaimers before I even play the timer, okay? I'm going to let you know now, this opinion is my opinion. I am entitled to that opinion. I am not asking for permission to have this opinion. If it's something that's going to bother you, me saying the word biological over the word cis, right? Or over the word cisgendered and stuff like that. If I'm using the word biological, if that bothers you, I'm going to need you to exit the room, okay? Because I'm going to speak the facts that I know based off of science, based off of my truth, based off of what I was born as, and so forth. And it just might offend you, okay? I'm not attempting to offend anyone. All I can be is myself, and that is a biological woman, okay? So we're going to talk about all of these things today. And like I said, the disclaimer that I gave is because I do not need you coming back and thinking that you're going to somehow educate me on my biology, okay? Because that's maybe what you want it to be. But, I'm not looking for that. I'm not asking for that. And I'm not asking for your permission on how I feel, okay? But I'm definitely going to give my opinion about it. I am going to talk about it because, like I said, there aren't enough women that are talking about it. And it's because of fear. Okay, more than likely, that's why. We don't want to be dragged all around social media and so forth by just simply giving our opinion on things based off of biology. Okay, but we'll get into it right now. I do appreciate everybody for being in the building. Make sure that you guys do hit the like button on the way in. And guys, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm only going to play a 2-minute timer, and then we're going to get right into the show. happening, Bestie, as well as Teresa? Truly appreciate y'all for being in the building, and everybody that's in the clouds too. I appreciate that as well. Listen, guys, we are going to get right into this right now. I definitely wanted to give my opinion about how all this kind of went. I gave you guys a little bit of it in the beginning of it before I played the timer, and I'm going to tell you guys right now. Okay, I remember a few years back when my kids were still younger. Okay, I remember when the whole thing came out about the Target bathroom, right? And how there was this whole argument over how transgender women should be able to use a women's bathroom, without any backlash or without any problems, right? And as inclusive as I wanted to be in that, I just couldn't find myself inclusive in that. And the reason why was because of my fear of my children being attacked in the bathroom, okay, like in a public bathroom. So what I meant by that was, and when I said that, I was talking about it on Facebook in a Facebook group. And I'm telling you, I got a hell of a lot of pushback behind that. Okay. There was all types of people just coming at me, just saying all kinds of stuff. And I really didn't know how to react to what they were saying, because they were telling me, like, well, are you saying that this was kind of like their arguments? They were saying stuff like, well, you can't say, that your son can also go in a bathroom and can't be, you're saying that nothing can happen to him in that bathroom. And I'm like, well, yeah, absolutely. But it's a little bit different for girls, right? It's a little bit different for women. And I was trying to explain that, and I just couldn't. I just ended up giving up because I didn't want to argue, right? But here's the thing, and this is what I was trying to say at the time. And this was before, it actually became a thing, right? I was trying to explain that when you open up the door like that to these kinds of things, you end up making the most vulnerable people more vulnerable. And it's not because we don't want to include transgender women and so forth in the world. We don't think that it's not any of that. It's because women, biological women, actually face certain issues that other people do not, okay? Or that other groups do not, okay? It's just the bottom line. For instance, women are more vulnerable or more likely to suffer from some kind of violence from somebody, okay? More than a man would. And I'm not saying that men don't suffer from violence. I'm not saying that a man cannot be beat up by a woman. I'm not saying that a man, I'm not saying any of that. But I want you to think about this biologically, okay? Men have bigger bones. They have more force, more G-force, even in their arm, even as they're swinging, even as they're moving, right? This is why, they kind of put on the shelf this idea of transgender women competing with biological women in sports. It's because it's not fair, okay? No matter how much hormones they take, no matter when they started that treatment and so forth, it is just not a fair game simply because of our biological makeup. We cannot change that. It just doesn't matter. No matter what you do or how you do it, you cannot change the biological makeup of a human being. Okay. It just is what it is. No matter how much surgery you have, no matter how many hormones and pills you take, it is not going to change that. And this is why they kind of started to shelf that idea, even though, this was a thing for a while. And, it turned out that there were transgender women who were winning these in these competitions because they had an advantage. Okay. So, and they realized that, and, they had to do something about that, whether, it offended people or not. So I'm saying all that because I want people to understand where biological women come from when we're asking for certain things. Okay. Now, there was one thing that I had talked about a few months ago. I had mentioned the word cisgender, right? And a lot of the sisters in the sector had started to talk about that. They had kind of pushed back and was like, no, don't ever call yourself cis. Make sure you're calling yourself a biological, right? And I had to look into it and get a little bit more understanding of where it all came from and why that is so offensive, right? And I'll tell you why, after I did my own research on it. And we're going to talk about the word cis and how that word has started to be used, okay? And then we're going to talk about gender, and we're also going to talk about genetics. Okay. And those are three scientific words, okay, including the word cis, that is a scientific word. Now, cis traditionally was used as a prefix, which means the same as, or the same as a trans has, okay? And comes from the Latin meaning on the same side as. So cis means on the same side as, which sits opposite from trans, which is the Latin of the opposite side of, okay? Or on the opposite side, okay? So these terms have been used in scientific disciplines for centuries, particularly in chemistry and in geography and in some genetics. Okay. Now, let's look up the word genetics because we want to make sure that we've got this all straight. We want to make sure that we're clear on all these meanings and what this stuff all means. Now, the words gene and gender actually both come from the same Greek word, genos, meaning birth, origin, race, species, or class. Okay. Now let's get into whether gender is a part of genetics, okay? Now the overview of this is gender is genetically controlled, okay? Which determines the health and fate of an organism. Gender determination results in the evolution of individuals with particular characteristics that allow them to be identified as three things: male, female, or hermaphrodite. And hermaphrodite, there's a new word for it, right? It's not, according to science and according to the medical field, it is not, it's not proper to use the word hermaphrodite anymore. There's like another word, and I can't think of what that word is right now. But this is basically saying that gender is genetically controlled, and it will allow the identification of three particular individuals, which would be either male or female or would have both. Okay. Now, I want that to be clear. I want that to be understood, and I want that to be heard. And this is coming from the medical field and the science field. Okay. This is not my thoughts. This is not Black Lounge thoughts, Miss T. Pre. This is not my friends. This is not you. This is the medical field and the science field. Okay. And we've got to use that when we're talking about biology. Okay. When we're talking about science, we can't just start saying things because that's what we want things to be. Okay. And unfortunately, that has happened so much in these situations when it comes to having these conversations about gender, when it comes to having these conversations about biology, right? We get lost in our emotions. We get lost in our thought patterns that we don't think of science, and we don't use actual medical terms and actual things, that could be proven scientifically, in these conversations. We just rather argue with one another. But shout out to those who really do understand this and aren't trying to push an agenda, aren't trying to educate, quote unquote, real biological women on what our biological makeup is and so forth in order to please themselves or in order to make themselves comfortable. Okay. Shout out to them. And I want to speak up and particularly give accolades to them, right? Because that is what I call inclusive, right? When you also not only look at your own rights, but you look at the rights of everybody. And is my rights and what my rights are so important to me that they are now infringing upon somebody else's rights? Okay. That is an issue. And that has been an issue since this whole Target situation came up with the bathroom thing and so forth and so on. And then it turned out that the Target situation where the bathroom, where, now we've had these same-sex bathrooms, we have, so forth and so on going on, that has increased where there have been actual predators that are using that loophole, right? Of, I'm transgender. I identify as a woman. And so now I can walk into your bathroom, or I can go into a bath house naked in front of your daughter because I'm telling you that I'm a trans woman, right? But I got my meat and everything, but I'm a trans woman. So because of that, by law, you have to let me be naked in front of your child. Okay. No, that is a problem. And they're not catching on to that part of it. And that has actually happened a couple of times since that whole thing has come out. Okay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to get Flame Monroe's perspective of this. Okay. Because he most definitely talked about exactly what women really want to say. Okay. It's funny how we want to say these things, but in us saying these things, we get a million men that jump out the window yelling and screaming women down. Or we have transgender, I'm trying to use the right word, trans women, right? That jump out the window arguing biological women down over the truth. Okay. But the truth is just the truth. Whether it hurts your feelings, whether you don't like it, whether you do like it is irrelevant. Okay. The bottom line is facts are facts. Biology is biology. And we are entitled to be ourselves and to speak about it. And we don't have to be, ashamed of being women and being biological women. Okay. It is nothing wrong with that. And I'm tired of somebody trying to tell me what I am in order to make you comfortable. Okay. No. That's not what we're doing. I'm not out here in your community telling you what you should and shouldn't do and what you should accept and how you should accept it. And so therefore you shouldn't infringe upon me with that either. So shout out to Flame. And we're going to play the first video now. It's about 7 minutes long. So make sure that you guys go ahead and sit back and relax. And we're going to go ahead and listen to this, and then we'll give some commentary. And then the second video is about 6 minutes. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Again, make sure you guys hit the like button on the way in. Let's go ahead and talk about it.
It's something on your mind. Why my camera looking so like I've been touching myself? It was a legend of a steel clone. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Whoa, bitch, when I tell you it's getting hot. It's hot. Oh, shit. It's getting hot. Good morning, everyone. It's vitamin time. You got to take your vitamins. Good morning. Child, y'all is up in my inbox. What are y'all mad about? Oh, my God. Because a coochie is a coochie is a coochie. It's called a coochie is a coochie is a coochie. Mm-hmm. Jess the Mess is just fine. Jess the Mess has her opinion, and Jess is my girl. And let me publicly say how I feel. With biological women and with Jess, I stand with this. Oh, thank you too, July. Yes, I stand with Jess Hilarious. Well, and nobody can't have an opinion opposed to somebody else's, please. I ain't ruffling no feathers too, July. If the truth is the truth. That ain't no called no ruffling feathers. That's called the truth. Jess is just fine. I talked to Jess. She just fine. All that shit y'all got going on. Child, it's a mess. And here's the killer. From the beginning of the whole breakdown, from when the first queen who said that women don't own periods and don't own womanhood, none of that had anything to do with somebody being mistaken as a trans or as a male. None of that had anything to do with that. Y'all keep making transphobia what you want it to be. Transphobia, any phobia is a fear of something. Ain't nobody scared of no goddamn trans women or trans men. They scared of the bullshit that y'all pushing. But ain't nobody scared of no trans men or no trans women. They really love us. Y'all just making it different. Just the Mess is my girl, and I stand with Just the Mess. Publicly, I'm saying it. I don't give a fuck who don't like it. You ain't gonna do shit. I stand with Jess. That whole argument had nothing to do with who got clocked as a trans man or trans woman. This bitch was talking about women don't own periods. All the trans women I know, all the straight women I know, don't nobody want to have a period. You only want to have a period if you don't want to get pregnant. Or if you forgot to take your shot, your pill. Shit. I'm standing with Jess. Anybody don't like it can kiss my dick in the face and start at my lips. I stand with Jess on this one and all biological women. Trans women cannot have periods. We shouldn't even be having a discussion about it. What we should be discussing is Ron DeSantis telling people that slavery taught us skills. Slavery ain't taught me shit. First of all, I ain't never been a slave. I would have never been a good slave. I would have told on everybody and ran away. Call me Harriet Tubman with a penis. I would have been a Harriet Tubman trans woman king because I would have ran my ass off. I'm not cleaning up shit. Fuck you and them regular ass kids. Yeah, I'm standing with Jess. You motherfucking right, I stand. And I talked to Jess. And I've spoken with Tasha K. Some things don't even need to be addressed. Some people don't even need to insert themselves in things that had nothing. That was not the conversation. The conversation was never about who got spooked. The conversation was about women don't own periods and women don't own womanhood. Women own periods and women own womanhood, and we can't borrow a period, but we have borrowed being a woman from women. Did y'all hear what I said? We have borrowed being a woman from women. Understand that. We have borrowed that. And thank you, women, for loaning it to us. I'll take it. It was the legend of a steel club. Child, DeSantis is losing in the country, and he's losing in his own state. People are sick of DeSantis. Let me tell you what people are getting sick of. People are sick of bullshit. They're getting sick of DeSantis and his bullshit. They are now sick of some of these trans girls, these young, angry-ass trans bitches pushing the wrong narrative to the world on America. God don't make no mistakes, but you live in a country where you can live and identify as whatever you want to. Y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all want to, you acting like the sexist men that run this country. So women are just third world people. A woman had your ass. As soon as you remember that, you're going to be okay. A woman had your ass. Get your room together because the cleaning ladies will get your room, mop your room and do your room together. So get everything up so you can clean your room tomorrow. But Flame, do non-binary. Y'all can miss me with all that non-binary shit. That you got a dick or a pussy. You got a uterus or you got a man's tool. It don't matter what you identify as. Non-binary is a woman. A lot of them are women. Y'all talking about, trans men can have kids because trans men are biologically women. Of course they can have children. They got a uterus and a vagina. Of course they can have have children. You can put all the labels and titles and shit that you want to. But if it's a coochie or a dingaling, that's it. It's a coochie or a dingaling. So stop with all the non-binary, gender non-conforming. It's a dick or a pussy. You try to cloud, muddy the waters and make it confusing to people. You can't confuse people. I identify as this goddamn telephone here, but do this phone want some dick or some pussy? Because DNA is DNA. You could be the most beautiful trans woman or most masculine trans man, and in 1,000 years when they dig you up and check your bone marrow, it's going to say male or female. It ain't going to say gender non-conforming, non-binary, bisexual under the bridge around the corner through the block under the gangway. Knock it off. Knock it the fuck off.
Let's talk about that first part of the video, okay? Because I most definitely agree with probably everything he said in this video, okay? Let's talk about how, he was saying how this whole argument was about, and how it started was, this person was saying women don't own periods or womanhood. And I actually saw another gay male yesterday talking about this on his channel too. I didn't even follow or listen, okay, because I've tuned into his channel before when he was having a very similar conversation, and I was disgusted with what I was hearing, because what I get tired of is people trying to force or push down my throat, their beliefs. Okay. You're entitled to believe whatever you want to, but I am also entitled to believe what I want to. So what you're not going to do is yell at me and berate me over what you want me to believe because you're not comfortable in your skin. Now, I'm going to say that, and I meant that. Okay. Women absolutely own periods and own womanhood. Okay. Just like men own manhood. Okay. We cannot take that from you, no matter how much we take a hormone, no matter what type of surgery I have, no matter what I do, right? I can wear platform shoes to be taller than you. I can take all kinds of taekwondo, all types of everything. It is still never going to make me a man. Like, bottom line, okay? It's just not going to happen. Like he said, when they dig my bones up 1,000 years from now, that bone marrow is going to tell them I was a female, okay? This is how they can go back. This, I'm a true crime person. I'll be knowing this stuff, right? They can go back 40 years from now, 50 years later, and they can pull up the bones of a person and they can tell whether it was male or female. They are not going to say you were binary, you were non-binary, you were cis, transgender, none of that. It's male or female. It's one or the other. Or you might have both, right? And that would be with the sexes. That would be with the genitalia itself. But the bone itself, the marrow, is going to actually tell exactly what gender you were, okay? Bottom line, no matter what you wanted it to be, this is what it's going to be, okay? So I wanted to make that clear. I also have a problem with the whole idea of telling us women that we don't own, quote unquote, periods, as if having a period is something that women attain to or something that we look forward to having every single month. Okay. I don't know about you, but me, I can't stand that shit. Okay. I don't know why I be getting that shit. Like, I just wish that would go away, but clearly it ain't going nowhere. Okay. So it is what it is. I've learned to live with it, but that is not something that women are like, oh yeah, the best thing about being a woman is that I have a period. No, that sounds like a person who's saying that, or a person who's fighting over such a thing. That sounds like you have a problem, right? Like you're not comfortable with your own self. You're not comfortable in your skin. And so therefore you're trying to bully me into who I am, right? And out of your anger of the fact that I am who I am, now you're trying to bully me and tell me what I can't, what is not mine and what is mine. And you get to, with this misogynist ideas, you get to jump in and tell me, even though you fight misogyny, right? But you're using misogyny to bully me into what you want me to say and what you want me to feel. And then I'm supposed to turn around and start doing that now because I don't want to be attacked by you, who is a man, by the way. Okay? Yeah, let's go there. Now, that's one part of it. Another part of this too, and I just wonder, right? Because when these types of arguments come up, they only come up at times like that. Like, oh, well, you can't just say that, because there's non-binary women that can have a period. There's transgender men that can have a period and all this other stuff. And so you don't own this. You're not just it's not just about you, right? Okay. Well, what do you say about women, biological women, right, who are born as a woman? And then years later, they go to their doctor and they are diagnosed with something that only a biological woman could have. What happens then, right? Does that take away their womanhood then? Because you can't ever, as a transgender woman or as a whatever, you want to call it, you will never walk into a doctor's office and the doctor tells you that you have uterine cancer or that you have endometriosis or other conditions that only a biological woman could develop. Okay? Just like a biological woman will never walk into a doctor's office and be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Do you understand? Because I will never, ever get a prostate. No matter what doctor I go to cut my shit off or grow me something or take this or whatever, I will never grow a prostate. So I will never, ever have prostate cancer. I will never have the ability to ever be diagnosed with that. So, what do you say about those things, right? When we talk about science, the science of it and the biology of gender, right? And then you want to take away the power of women and say, you are not a woman, because transgender women, they can do this and they can do that, and we can do this and we can do that. So you cannot just own womanhood. Well, I can't, because at any day, at any time, I could be diagnosed with something that only a woman can be diagnosed with. Now, I want you to let that sink in. And then, when we talk about this whole thing, we talk about periods and, all these other things, right? I want you to think about one other thing while we're going into that. For men, okay, and this is just for men, even a gay man or a trans woman, right? There's plenty of gay men and plenty of trans women who have children, okay? Say you had a daughter, okay, men or trans women, and you decided that, you were going to go for a drug test, okay? You're going for a drug test for a new job or whatever, and you go and you've been smoking a whole lot of weed. So instead of you taking your pee in there, you go to your daughter, right? Your little 14-year-old daughter. You be like, listen, baby, I need you to pee in this cup, okay? Go ahead and give it to me. I got you. Don't worry about what I'm doing with it. I just need you to pee in this cup, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this on down to the lab. I'm going to take this nice pee. I got it nice and warm and wrapped up and everything. Don't ask me how I know to do all that. But anyway, you go and you take it and you wrap it up and you go and take it down and it's all nice and warm and the right temperature and everything else. And you let the pee go in there and you like, yeah, I done passed this drug test. I know I got this drug test. You as a man, you went in there, you gave them that pee, and then you come out. And guess what? They fail you. And you like, how did I fail this drug test? Oh my God, I know my daughter ain't out here smoking weed. Girl, you out here smoking weed? And they're like, no, sir, it's because you're pregnant. That's how you failed this drug test. And you like, well, what you mean? What? Yeah, because only a biological woman could come up with one hormone. There's one hormone out here called human chorionic gonadotrophin. That's what it's called. Human chorionic gonadotrophin. That's what it's called. HCG. Okay. Look it up. Only a biological woman could have HCG in her system. That's if she comes up pregnant. Okay. At some point, at some time during a period of time where she's pregnant, HCG will show up in her system. Even after she has the baby, it'll still show up for a very short period of time. Even if she has a miscarriage, it'll show up for a very short period of time. That is what gives you that second blue line on that Clear Blue Easy test or whatever pregnancy test you decided to take. It's the HCG hormone, which only a biological woman can have in her system. Okay? Not a single one of you can find that anywhere. There's no scientist that has made HCG. There's nobody, because it's natural, okay? It is a natural hormone that comes up in a female's body if that female is pregnant with another human being. Bottom line, okay? That is science. That is biology, okay? This is not arguments. This is not feelings. This is not emotions. This is not what I want it to be. This is biology, okay? This is the law. This is what God did, okay? This is what happened, okay? So you only got mad to be mad at the universe for this, okay? We ain't had nothing to do with that. But that is what happens with biological women. So there are clear and cut conversations that we really can have with you, okay, in regards to biology and then in regards to feelings, all right? Because anybody can have feelings, but biology speaks to it for itself. And that's just that. I liked what he said about how women are not afraid of transgender women. Okay. We are not afraid of trans women. We're not afraid of gay men. As a matter of fact, I believe that most women actually embrace gay men and embrace the LGBT community. I really do believe that, right? We have family, kids, different things that are involved, and we don't mind. Okay. That's not the problem. The problem is when you have a group of people, and it's not, most, it's not even half, it's not even a quarter of the LGBT community or the trans community that's doing this. It's only a group of people within that community that have this mindset, okay, that we are homophobic or we are transphobic if we start speaking of ourselves as biological women, not cisgendered and using all these words and bonus hole women and all this other stuff that y'all want us to say because you're not comfortable in your own skin. Okay, I'm comfortable in my skin. I don't have to change who I am because you're not comfortable. That's just like a black person getting quieter and talking softer when white people walk in the room because we're afraid they're going to be offended. I don't give a fuck if you're offended. How about that? You move out my way. Okay, I'm in here. Yeah, I'm here. You just going to have to feel some type of way. And we're not changing who we are because they are uncomfortable in their skin around us. Do you understand? That is what we mean by that. We don't have to change anything. We can feel whatever we want to feel. We can do and be whoever we are because that is who we are naturally. Okay, period. And we don't have to argue about that and become something else because you're not comfortable. I don't know what it is that we could even do to make you comfortable. Nothing. It's gonna take you. It's something within you that you gotta work out. But you gotta stop telling us we gotta change. Okay, because we can't change who we are naturally. Period. Just like I will never change that I'm a black woman. I am a black woman. I'm never gonna change that. It's never gonna change. Even if I bleach my skin, I'm still gonna be a black woman. Period. So I'm not changing it, and I'm not doing anything to make you more comfortable. Now, so you can call me homophobic, transphobic, all of that shit. Phobia means fear. That means I'm afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. I am, though, however, like Flame said, I am sick of the BS, and I'm concerned about the bullshit that is presented to us, okay? Because those things can become dangerous in the long run for biological women. While you wanting to live in this fantasy world of coming into the woman's bathroom and using the woman's bathroom and all this other stuff because you don't feel comfortable in the men's bathroom and so forth and so on, well, now you're opening a loophole for predators to come in and attack me in the women's bathroom. And they're going to use, oh, I'm a woman. I'm a woman today, so I get to go in the women's bathroom, and then that becomes a thing, right? And I want y'all to look up whether or not this has been happening or not, because it has. Whether you want it to be the truth or not, whether you like it or not, this is what's been happening. Now let's go ahead and there's a couple other parts that he's talked about. He said, I liked when he said that trans women have borrowed being a woman from women, and it's not that I think that is necessarily the truth, right? But I have to give him some credit in at least acknowledging that trans women and even gay men who like to fashion after women, right? They've gotten that from women, okay? This didn't come from, an example of a masculine man. This came from an example of a female, of a woman, okay? And that is what you were attracted to, and that is what your lifestyle became, and you came into that lifestyle based off of what you like, okay? So you got those tendencies, the way to get your makeup right, the way to get your hair right and so forth from women, period. So while you're trying to wipe out women, okay, and get rid of women, biological women, you're doing that and taking that and using misogyny to do so, but then turning around and complaining about misogyny. And, you got to pick a side. Either misogyny is a thing or it's not, right? If you want to get rid of misogyny, then you got to stop bullying women, like, period. You have to stop as a trans man or a trans woman or as a gay man bullying real biological women, period, whether you like it or not. Now, that whole thing about, being non-binary and binary and all that other stuff, the bottom line is, like he said, you are going to die either male, female, or both, and that would be with the genitalia. Once the skin and everything else has been eaten by maggots, okay, and the only thing that's left is your bones, the only thing they're going to know is whether it's you was a male or a female. That's it, honey. There's no binary, cis, non-translucent, none of that shit's there. Okay, it's just not, whether you want it to be or not. So this whole argument that we've been having with men is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I need people to just, show a lot more respect when it comes to that. The same way that the trans community would expect. And like I said, this is not all the trans community or anything. This is that handful of individuals within there, right, that are talking about this and that are butthurt and arguing back and forth with real biological women over this, right? The bottom line is, you gotta fix whatever's going on within yourself. We don't have to change nothing. We are naturally who we are, and we are not going to change that, and neither are you. Okay, no matter how much you yell, scream, drag Black women through the streets and all this other stuff, it is not changing nothing. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish up with Storm. I want to call him Storm Monroe, with Flame Monroe. Okay, and what he was saying, and then we'll do the rest of the commentary. And we'll get back to that in just a second. Let me look at you guys' comments real quick. I appreciate all of you for being in the building. You said, say that 3 times fast. You said, and it's not hate to state what is factual. Exactly. It is not hate to state the truth. Okay, that's just the bottom line. You have you're entitled to your opinion about, your sexuality and so forth and everything. And that's perfectly fine. What is a problem is when you try to infringe upon the rights of other people. That is when it is a problem, okay? And like I said, women have it completely different. Biological women have it completely different than men. It's just what it is, okay? I'm not saying that transgender women are not attacked. I'm not saying that transgender women don't go through a various amount of abuse and different things. That I'm not in any way saying that, okay? But we're going to be realistic about what really happens with biological women, okay? And how vulnerable biological women in fact are, okay? And how putting us in a situation like that is infringing upon our rights, okay? To be safe and our rights to be, to enjoy life the way you want to, okay? And that's just it. And that's something you have to think about. And I appreciate people like Flame Monroe and others who are willing to open up and tell you that. They don't have a problem with telling you that and they're transgender. They're trans women. So shout out to Flame. He said, agreed 100. You said, I said that and I think my comment got deleted. Oh, I don't know. YouTube be doing the most out here. So, but either way, let's go ahead and get into the rest of this video here. And then we're going to go ahead and end the show after this.
Mad at everybody but the wrong person. Y'all leave Jess alone. Leave these women alone. These women are living their life fighting already through society, trying to make their way, being disgruntled and pushed down by me and by society. And y'all dumbasses is playing the fool, letting the white society, the white gays that run shit, tell you, oh, this is what you need to do. This isn't it, and we're going to keep you working. We're going to put you in movies. We're going to put you on TV. Okay, and what? And you lose what? For what should it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his motherfucking soul? You lost your mind. You may not lose your soul, but you damn sure done lost your mind. Again, I stand with Just Hilarious because she ain't said shit wrong. And the argument was never about whether she got spooked as a woman or a man. The argument was the women own periods. Don't get distracted by the bullshit that other people are trying to initiate to make themselves relevant. It's bullshit because that was never the argument. This queen came on here talking about a period, what women don't own periods, women don't own womanhood. Girl, that was the argument. Nothing else. Anything else anybody came with from the left was some just stupid shit. It shows your incompetence, though. It really does. It shows how smart you think you're not. Y'all tag my bitch Jess. That's my bitch right there. She ain't said shit wrong. In fact, it needed to be said from a woman. It needed to be said from a biological woman. Because I can say I ain't never been a woman. I will never be a biological woman. Most of the trans bitches that speaking on it all of the trans bitches that speaking on will never be a biological woman. Get your ass out here. I got a fly in here, y'all. I hate flies. So speak on what you can. Shit. Jalen White. Hey, Jalen, the full context of the video wasn't about trans women, but about trans men who have periods and feelings towards them. Child, it don't matter what trans men should even be speaking about tampons. They live their life openly as a man. What they do in the bathroom when it's time for their month time is their business. The trans men ain't up in arms. The trans men are not disgruntled. It's these trans women who's feeling some kind of way. No, just what that's not even what the queen was talking about. Let's go back to the original base. You got to go to the source. The source was the trans girl who went out and said that women don't own periods and womanhood. She never said nothing about somebody being spooked as a man, somebody being clocked and not. None of that. This shows you the hypocrisy of the distraction that they're trying to push, because that's not what the first queen said. She was talking about a period and womanhood. They came with something else talking about who got spooked and who didn't get spooked. That's called bullshit. That's because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I stand with Jess. I stand with women. And many of my trans sisters got an issue with who I stand with. You ain't got. You don't fuck with me no way. Guess what? I don't fuck with no bitch that don't fuck with me. And again, let me take y'all back to some shit right quick. Let me take y'all back to some shit. Because ain't shit wrong with me. I just look like this. Ain't shit wrong with Mother Goose. She just look like this. Let me take y'all right back to it. Until let y'all know again that you cannot outgirl a girl when you was born as a boy. You cannot outgirl a girl when you was born as a boy. And stop talking about what women can't bear children. You trainee bitches ain't finna have no goddamn kids no way. And some of the ones I know that do have kids, you don't even take care of your motherfucking kids. You just want to holler, I got some kids. I got kids. Yeah, but you got kids. Who taking care of them? You gotta understand, I'm attracted to a beautiful woman, not the sexual organ. Nigga, the lies you tell. The men who are attracted to trans women feel like the bigger you are, the bigger you are. They're not attracted to us because we beautiful women with breasts. In their mentality, they feel like I'm not with a man because you got all the feminine parts, but you still got that tool that I need. That's just real of it. Mm. And I know some of my sisters gonna be upset with me, but bitch, y'all ain't gonna do shit. See, that's why. Hey, did you hear mother say y'all ain't gonna do shit? It's bullshit. Y'all got to stop pushing this narrative of bullshit. I don't know what Maddie said. I didn't see Maddie's page. I don't know nothing about any of that. All I've been seeing was the clickbait. I didn't go into that, but I've had a real conversation with Jess Hilarious. I've had a real conversation with Tasha K. That's not my problem or my business. And don't come on my page attacking Maddie. If y'all want to attack Maddie, y'all take that shit on her page. I'm not attacking Maddie. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm telling you what the fuck the truth is. There is a penis and there is a dingling. Stop coming at me with the gender non-conforming, bisexual, metrosexual. It's a dick or a pussy. You see how easy that is?
All right, y'all. So, yes, do y'all see how easy that was and how simple that was, right? All this non-binary, gender non-conform, gender conform, conforming to X, B, Z, K, and Y. Listen, honey, no. Male or female, right? You can choose to live as a male if you're a female. You can choose to live as a female if you're a male. But the biological makeup of you is just the biological makeup of you, okay? And that is perfectly fine. That is something that, we don't have to have a conversation about. You're entitled to whatever you wish to be. You're entitled to how you feel. You're entitled to live that way. But what you're not entitled to do is to infringe upon my rights as a biological woman. You're just not entitled to that, no matter what. Your rights do not infringe upon my rights. That's just it. My rights should not infringe upon your rights, right? But rights and wants are two different things. And I want that to be very fucking clear when we're having this conversation. The right to something and to want something are two different things, okay? I have the right to freedom. I don't have the right, nobody has the right to enslave me, okay? I have the right to be free, right? But somebody who thinks that they have the right to own slaves doesn't mean that they actually have the right to own slaves. That is a want. That is not a right, okay? If they want it, whether how sick and twisted the want is, it's just a want. That doesn't mean they have the right, okay? Because their quote unquote wants or what they think are rights are infringing upon my rights, okay? So no, they don't have the right to enslave me because that is what they want. Do you understand? The same with you. You don't have the right to infringe upon my rights as a woman, as a biological woman, because you want to, or because that's just what you want. Give me a much better reason why I should be more inclusive to that, right? Especially when there doesn't seem to be much inclusiveness when it comes from you, right? Because I'm out here literally finding myself, or I'm finding you all, and not all of you, but just like I said, there's a handful. I'm finding a handful in competition with me as a woman. And that's a problem. It's not a problem so much for me, it's more of a problem for you. But in the long run, it's a problem for both of us, okay? Because what you're asking for is inclusiveness. You're asking for everyone to be included in the situation, right? For there to be a total inclusiveness to this, but it only seems to be one-sided. It seems like you want everybody to include only you, but everybody else can just get kicked out, or everybody else's rights. Forget about everybody else's rights. Forget about children's rights. Forget about all that stuff as long as we are including you. And that is the problem, okay? I want to particularly talk about one more thing, and this I thought was so important that he said, and then we're going to go ahead and end the show, because actually Pillsbury is live, so I will be going over there. So make sure y'all go over to Officer Pillsbury, because we're about to go over there. But he said that transgender men aren't even complaining about this or even talking about their periods and stuff like this, because, yeah, everybody has not had reassignment surgery. Okay, so there are people who were born as women that live as men, and they are considered transgender men. Transgender men, you don't hear about a lot of transgender men having these arguments about using bathrooms and about going here and going there and doing this and doing that and periods, and they can have babies too, and they're this and they're that. And it's funny how these arguments come up, right? And like I said, it's not a lot of transgender men having these arguments at all. As a matter of fact, you barely hear it. But you hear the transgender women having these arguments with biological women. And then you even see biological women arguing with other biological women after having these long drawn out brawls with transgender women about this stuff. And then they're convinced that they're right. And now they want to argue with other biological women about this stuff. This is exactly who's having these conversations. It's trans women and biological women. There's no heterosexual men really getting in these conversations. There's no transgender men getting in these conversations. None of that. Okay. None of that stuff is happening. It is literally women fighting with each other and trying to convince each other that that transgender men are correct in this situation, or at least transgender women, the ones that are arguing this point are right. Okay. And then we end up arguing with each other. Us Black women in particular, we love to include everybody. We love to protect everybody. We got to include everybody in the boat, right? We got to make sure everybody feels safe. Everybody feels comfortable. And that is not always our job, okay? Right now, in this particular situation, I appreciate people like Flame, who is willing to speak up on this stuff and to open up these topics for conversation, because they are very much needed conversations, okay? I'm tired of having this conversation. I'm tired of when I wake up and I turn on the TV, there's some new person that's, throwing down my throat something else I'm saying wrong, right? I said I got a vagina. Now I got to call it a bonus hole because you're uncomfortable with me having what was I was biologically born with, okay? Or, now I can't sing one of Aretha Franklin's songs about being a natural woman because how dare I say I am a natural woman? Like, this kind of stuff is so dumb, okay? It's so stupid. At the end of the day, I am a natural woman. I am a biological woman. I am not a cisgendered anything, okay? That is a term that came up. Yes, it's been used scientifically, but it is a term that has started to be used to describe sexuality starting around 1994. I was born in 78, honey, okay? Way before that, okay? So I'm going to keep calling myself a female, calling myself a woman and biological, and I'm going to be unapologetic about that. And nobody is going to ever, no matter how much you scream for hours and tell me how stupid I am as a Black woman, you are never going to convince me of what God gave me and what God made me. And that's just it. You don't have to like it. You can like it. You can dislike it. I don't care what you do, but this is what it is. Okay. And, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that. But I definitely do appreciate those who have come in to watch the show. I know that I didn't get a whole lot of people because right now Pills is over there. So I'm definitely going to go over there right now. I know that I will get a lot of people that will catch the replay. I definitely do want you guys to sound off about this in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think, okay? And guys, and again, don't come over here trying to, educate me on any of that stuff. We can have a conversation. We can talk, right? But don't shove anything down my throat. Don't do that, all right? And, more than, I'm willing to hear your side. I'm willing to hear what you think. But, again, don't shove any of your ideas down my throat, all right? But I will talk to y'all later. I definitely appreciate y'all for coming in the building. And peace, guys. Thank y'all for watching. I will talk to y'all later.